Hello people, Mark Major here. I am a real big toy collector. I'm also an owner-operator of a video studio facility here in Southeast Portland. In the back of that studio is another studio which I have dubbed the Action Figuratorium. That is where we are at right now. And today I'm going to be talking about a playset that I recently rescued. This is called the Ultimate Game Court. It's part of the NBA Heroes line that came out in 2014. Here is one of the figures right here. 6-inch NBA action figure. Great articulation. I'll talk a little bit more about these at the end. If you missed out on these figures, just note that the Fawoosh did a review of them back in the day, and so some of you may have seen them, but you maybe didn't really get involved because you looked at it and you said, that's not for me. I know that there is a new set of NBA 6-inch figures that have recently come out. I've seen them on people's social media feeds. I've seen people's reactions, and everyone said, well, they're, it's cool that they have removable shoes, but we don't really need these. Like all the problems we're working on out there, like we're trying to solve homelessness and hunger and, sort of stop wars and that. And they're like, yeah, this sort of action figure for the NBA with removable shoes, that fixes a lot of problems. So some negative reaction on that aspect. When I asked some of the influencers how they compare to these original dogs, they hadn't heard of these or knew anything about these, and they went over their head. And that's too bad, because this is a pretty clutch figure. So today I'm going to be talking about the playset that I just showed you that came with it, and I'm going to tell you what I think is particularly interesting about it. And I'm just going to kind of give away the punchline by saying right now, WWE. And stick around if you want to know what I'm talking about. All right, over on the bench, as I call it, we're going to move operations. So this is meant for kids to put all the stuff in and take over to their friend's house and play with it. This is meant to keep all the stuff together. All the things that come in the box all fold up so that they go back in the box. They do have folds that are separate to how they go in the box so that they can be built into the playset. But this box is meant to go out into the wild, and you can see the box I have is kind of beat. Somebody may or may not have done anything with it. But I do have all the pieces. So let's introduce what you get with this. There is this folding piece of plastic that is essentially what holds the floor. And this gets slapped down like that. There are two pieces of laminated cardboard, thick cardboard that come with it. One is this traditional basketball court looking, whatever this spruce or pine wood is that they use. I don't know what they use, but essentially the way it works is you put this down into the plastic frame, and there's little tabs, and they click in. This thing has been folded for so long that it is difficult for it to hold it in. The second one that comes with it is allows you some street games. It's some asphalt. It's got a little bit of damage. It looks like some of those roads they would give you for Steve Jackson's Car Wars. There may be a little bit of an age date there. So then you also get one piece of cardboard backdrop, and this is two-sided. So one side is your, arena court backdrop with you get your signage with the scorekeeping on it. And this actual backdrop looks like a photo that somebody then went in and either with a Photoshop filter or with some type of, I'm pretty sure it was a filter, but maybe looks like somebody by hand may have painted over the faces and made it all look kind of weird and clay eyes. They look like clay figures. It almost looks like this may have been a painting that someone painted. And that would be kind of cool if this is like a huge giant spread that's like in an office building somewhere. But I think it's just a photo that somebody photoshopped the figures out of. And then on the other side here, we've got, for our street game, we've got some, brick wall, which, okay, I don't necessarily know that brick wall always looks like that everywhere. I mean, buildings look like that, but just like a, like a wall running along. And then some graffiti with NBA on it. And this is probably a painting, giant painting in someone's office. In addition to that, of course, I probably should have opened with, you do get instructions. These instructions are okay. I should probably do a scan of these and maybe offer them as a PDF online to folks in kind of a toy polloi fashion. Anyways, they tell you how to build this thing. And then you get this interesting collection of accessories with it. Right, there's and there's kind of two sets. There's some for the arena side and there's some for the street game side. So, you get like a locker room locker. Here is the hoop, but it also comes with a chain fence, and the fence is all broken, so it's probably not the one from the arena. You get a street lamp. Now, this is a cool piece. I could see people going after this just to try and get this cool street lamp. You could use that in any sort of diorama. Here is the post for our backboard right there. And these have special tabs that allow them to stick into the frame. Now, this is kind of interesting. For the street game, there's this fire hydrant, right, that comes with it, and it's got a weird rope attached to it. And then there's this kind of pulley system. It's like a pulley and a couple of hooks. And there's also this weird thing. It's a hook with a rope, and so maybe there's some kind of you hang people from this hook pulley system and they sort of tie line to the hoop. I don't know. Here's our clear backboard. Not bad. It's worth getting for that. And then there's two benches, and these benches, of course, are going to go with the arena. And the benches you build, and they're 2 pieces each, and they are made to break apart, and they've got like a little kind of it looks like it's all jaggedy, like it's been broken apart. So here is my take on this line. Okay, here's a little bit of I was thinking of what the marketing people were thinking about when they were making this. And that is that they didn't know how they were going to sell these NBA heroes to kids who are going to be buying, if they're going to be buying action figures to play with, right? They're going to be getting Star Wars. They're going to be getting Marvel Legends. They're going to be getting WWE figures, right? That kind of thing. And they said, okay, this is the closest thing that we can think of is WWE, right? So what we need to do is make this more like WWE, and we're going to have play sets just like them that when you play with them, they break apart, right? Like WWE has these ladders that collapse. They've got all these platforms that guys stand on that break apart. They've got chairs. They've got fences that break apart. And the same thing was applied to this. They came out with a bunch of weird stuff like this, which has got a whole bunch of weird, creepy kind of G.I. Joe stuff on the back. But this locker's totally made to be smashed and broken apart by guys. And to further enforce this idea that this is what their marketing department came up with, if you look at the accessories that came with the Derrick Rose figure, right, they give you like this weird Greek Spartan rocket helm, right? It's like a helmet with a fin on it. They give you some rocket boots. You can take the figure's legs, the bottom of the legs off, and replace them with these rocket boots. They also give you this weird basketball launcher, right, where you take the arm off and you replace it with this because it's got like a whole, you can see the bicep right there, and it's sort of cyborgish. And now your guy, you know, you can see on the picture here that now your guy can come out with rocket boots and he can launch the ball. And so they want this to be like a full contact sport with these figures, even though, as far as I know, that is not what basketball is about. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. So you can see that this is a pretty fun, pretty clutch playset to have with all the weird accessories, but I want you to know that it has this kind of interesting WWE tinge to it, okay? That's what I'm calling it. I'm calling it the WWE tinge to it, where they wanted to make it so that it breaks apart. Last thing I want to conclude about this is I would love to turn people on to these particular NBA figures. They have really cool articulation for guys wearing these kind of weird sort of 80s surf punk jams or what, you know. I realize this is the uniform of the players, but it's just funny to have an action figure who looks like maybe he's just kind of a surfer on the beach, that kind of thing. But if you get some of these clear acrylic stands like the ones Bandai makes, I did a review of a couple, and you bring these out, you can pose these guys in all sorts of awesome, chaotic, weird, in the mid-air, jumping, sprawling, going after each other, the basketball kind of thing, poses, and they're pretty fantastic for that. They do have kind of a weaker sort of pin joint here that this guy kind of comes apart. I'm going to have to maybe get a little bit of soft tacky glue to keep that in. You know, these are not exactly perfect figures, but you can probably find them loose. If you wait on eBay with an alert, you can probably find them loose for about $10 each. Now, you may not always get the jersey with that. I've got two of them that don't have jerseys, which means those guys are not going to be playing NBA arena stuff. They're street ballers. They're out in the street with their shirts off. They're getting into it. They're getting down and dirty. They're like hitting each other with like broken bottles. Just stuff that you normally see when you go to like a neighborhood basketball game. But they're so much fun to play with and to pose with. And if you get the right kind of stands, and I recommend, because these guys are kind of, they feel kind of heavy. They got that heavier plastic, right? So you might want to get the heavier stands. One of my stands actually broke from the weight of one of these guys, but for the most part, they'll handle it. But get a little heavier duty stand, and you would have a blast with these 2014 NBA Heroes. You don't need those new figures that are coming out. Let's just say it, they suck. No one wants them. The shoes come off. Don't care. Anyways, this has been another fantastic episode of the Action Figuratorium. Don't forget that you can always check out the photos that come out of the studio on my Instagram account, Action Figuratorium. And if you give me a follow, there's a good chance, folks, that I will give you a follow back. So with that, I'll catch everybody on the next one.